Welcome to Been There, Done That, the second best project management podcast on this planet. Very few circumstances in project management align with a textbook. This podcast walks the wild spaces in project management and provides insights you won't get on a canned podcast.
All right, I only got one out last week, so today I figured I'm going to try different backgrounds. Maybe that'll get people to see that the episodes are actually different. Today I want to talk about what happened a lot earlier in my career, where organizations would reach out and they would offer you a position. It was a lateral move, and I learned pretty quickly, don't make lateral moves because they're generally not good. It'll always be with a promise of a promotion. What I come up with is, from the stuff I've read and what I've experienced, is always run to opportunities, never run from problems. And I say that kind of with a grain of salt. If it's really untenable, which is pretty rare, yeah, you got to go. But sometimes what you'll find is that the jobs that are the most challenging are the ones where you're going to build the best skills. Like, all your skills are based on the come from those biggest challenges you run into in your organization. And I learned that. I worked for many different organizations. It's always good to basically kind of knuckle down, do a root cause analysis, figure out why are we having so many issues here, and then address that. Organizational politics are everywhere. They're everywhere you go. It's really bad in some places. It's not so bad in other places. But there's always one or two people that are terrible politicians at work, and those are the people you need to figure out how to manage. I just realized I have my headband on. I'm riding my Elliptigo, so I'm keeping the sweat from running into my eyes right now. So basically, learning how to manage the organizational politics is a critical skill that you have to learn. And I had read a book, and I forget the title off the top of my head. It was Kathleen Kelly Reardon had written it, and I think it might have been It's All Politics. It was aimed at a woman, but it was really, really good in the sense that what I ended up doing after reading that was not engaging in organizational politics. I'd call it out for what it is, and I'd address problems head on. No matter what someone said, if it was something that was political in nature, I don't mean politics like left versus right, center, all that stuff. What I'm talking about is people using their influence in a dysfunctional way in order to gain organizational power. So those things I would generally address them head on. I would just go for it head on and get down to the root cause of it all and figure out how to solve the problem that's underlying whatever's driving those issues. So with that in mind, how do you move up in an organization? A lot of times you can't. Sometimes you have to lay the line in the sand and say, hey, if I'm not getting promoted this year, help me find somewhere where I can get promoted because I don't feel like you're valuing my contributions. So one of the things that I learned early on, I just had one of my Post-its blow away. Let me grab that. There we go. Maris is live. You never know when the wind's going to kick up in Tampa.
But first, a message from our sponsor.
Tired of planning? Estimating? Reality? Introducing the Gantt Chart Generator, the only tool that guarantees your project will deliver exactly according to the Gantt chart, no matter how little you actually planned. Just drag anything you want onto the chart. Features, dreams, panic, and watch the timeline magically stay the same. We added 12 new modules and somehow we're still on track. The Gantt Chart Generator, because if the chart says it's possible, it must be. So one of the things I learned early on in my career is to go on at least one significant interview per year. What that means is you look for a job that will be a promotion for you, if that's what you want, and apply for it. Do your resume, pattern the resume. What it will do is you'll get some interviews. Those interviews will be a good opportunity for you to practice. So if and when you happen to lose your job unexpectedly, you're in practice. Near the end of my career, I didn't do it as much. Last role I was on for, 11 years or so. A lot of changes internally. I kind of wrote them out, and I also, I was pretty happy where I was at, so I didn't need to move. I've given this advice to many people, and pretty much everybody I gave the advice to come back and thank me later. The value of doing a good significant interview once a year is you will understand your value in the marketplace much better. You can more easily compare what's the other organization offering in terms of role, compensation, and everything else compared to what I have now. And you don't always have to make the jump. And again, I wouldn't go for a lateral move, because I've had organizations say, well, if you come in at this lower level, you'll be promoted within a year. And then 3 years later, you're still at the same level, and they're bringing people in levels above you. Again, don't do a lateral. What it will do if you're working through these interviews is you'll understand what is my value in the marketplace. And that's super important to know, because near the end of my career, I hit the top of my pay bracket, and I was okay with it. I was happy with it. I didn't really want to change, didn't need to change, felt very comfortable in my role, liked the people I work with, was value, so it wasn't really an issue in terms of staying there. But that's kind of my thoughts there. I'm going to put a little slide at the end here to give you all the little takeaways, so I won't throw in my bold up Post-its here, and hopefully you've got some value out of this. Help me out here. Please share this. If you're not a follower, become a follower either on Substack, which has been there, manage that, or on YouTube. There's a channel there also. I'm putting shorts up there. The shorts are drawing 1,200, 1,500 views, which is pretty crazy. And then LinkedIn also, I have the Been There, manage that company page as well as my personal profile. So you can find those. I'll put that in a link in the end also, not a link because it's a video, but yeah, I'll put a link in the text that goes out with the video. Enjoy the day, because I know I am.
Takeaways from this podcast are: run to opportunities, not from problems. Your greatest development will come from your least favorite jobs. Never make a lateral move, only move to promotions. Actively confront organizational politics. Go on one significant job interview every year so you know your market value and have an updated resume.